Now, on Wednesday, there was a promo segment between MJF and Adam Cole. MJF came out. Another one. We don't know if he'll be on the Forbidden Door show, but MJF said there's no competition left for me in this company because nobody is on the level of the devil. That brought out Adam Cole. And MJF talked about how legitimately excited he was to see Adam Cole out here. And he said, believe it or not, I've always been a big fan of yours. When CM Punk up and left me when I was a kid, I thought my wrestling fandom was over. But then I was flipping channels one day and I came across a show called Ring of Honor. And I saw this guy on there, and I thought Ring of Honor sucked, but I saw this guy on there who had it all. And that guy was Adam Cole. And he kind of followed in his footsteps, right? Cole won championships on the Independents and in CZW, and MJF did all those same things. He tried to follow in his footsteps. And he was really putting him over. But then the promo turned. And MJF is looking at him and he's saying, what happened to you? You used to be the Panama Playboy. Now you're the Panama Game Boy. You sit at home, you play video games, you're streaming on Twitch, you're a pale virgin. Didn't you used to have the physique of a world champion? He says, you're so frail now, you make crack whores jealous. He sees what people are saying online, that the company just is not featuring Adam Cole the right way. I don't know who's saying that, but they're not featuring Adam Cole the right way. And he said, the fans have no idea what they're talking about. This company has given you everything. They even gave you your own reality show, you and your girlfriend. So this is how they're setting up MJF against Adam Cole. Adam Cole came back at him after this. And, he got a few zingers in there. But basically, this was just a burial here is what this was. Because MJF got into the whole thing about there being rumors that there was a certain someone in Titan Tower who didn't think you had top guy potential, and that somebody was Vince McMahon. And MJF at the time thought, man, the old man has finally lost it. How could he not see the talent in Adam Cole? But now he looks at him as he stands before him and he thinks Vince was right. There's a lot of people who say that about Bray Wyatt as well. Vince was right. That's a whole other conversation. But Cole, again, he had a chance to react, and he called MJF a social media troll, and if you really want to go backstage and piss in a cup, we'll see who's natural and who's not. And MJF said that's a lot of tough talk coming from Keith Lee's manager. And Cole said, if you were a real champion, you would tell me to shut my mouth and fight me, but you're not going to do that because you're a coward. So he managed to get under MJF's skin because he came back and said, I'll fight you anywhere. And so now we're going to get a match. It's going to be not a qualifier. Well, basically it is a qualifier. They call them the eliminator matches. We're going to get an eliminator match on Wednesday. I said when this was over in the review on Wednesday, I said, I'm surprised that Adam Cole had enough oxygen left in his lungs to even respond. With how far deep underground he was buried after that MJF promo. He was hitting him hard in a lot of different ways. And then I also said I had one real big issue with this segment. And it's funny, I mentioned before the comment I made praising WWE for taking steps to correct the whole, women's title situation on Friday. And how I got it from both sides, right? It's either you shouldn't praise them or, what took you so long or whatever. Like, you can't win, right? It's kind of the same thing with some of the AEW people I hear from as well, where it's like everybody was heaping praise on this segment. Oh my God, this was such a great segment. This was like the segment of the year. They were burning each other on this promo. And then I came out and I said, well, I have one very, I think, legitimate issue with this segment here. And there were people who agreed with me. And then, of course, there were people who, if you say anything bad about this stuff, they jump down your throat. But that's just to be expected, I guess. But I pointed out that at the Double or Nothing scrum, MJF was talking and he got serious. I think this was something legitimate. I think MJF was talking about probably some, market research that Tony Khan has done. Tony Khan runs, I think, an analytics company. So he's a numbers and a stats guy. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they ran these types of, these types of studies. By the way, did we ever hear about that bot study that Tony was telling us about all those months ago? The bots on Twitter. He said that he had research. Did he ever release that final report? I don't think so. But at the Double or Nothing Scrum, MJF said that of the entire AEW audience, their audience, as far as active on Twitter, is 7%. 7% of their audience is active on the Twitter platform. So his point being that Twitter is basically just one big echo chamber and people will say stuff and they'll complain about stuff, but it's a very, 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 very minute niche group of people. And so I thought about that as he was bringing up this stuff about Adam Cole's physique and you don't look like a champion. I see what people are saying online about you being frail and pale and no muscle tone and all this stuff. There are a lot of Twitter users who have said these things about Adam Cole. I know Jim Cornette and other people have said it too, but there's a lot of people on social media who are always talking about Adam Cole's physique and what happened to him. Why does he have no muscle? And he, doesn't look like a world champion and all this stuff. And yet they're bringing this up in this promo. And I just don't know how wise that is to give any oxygen to it as part of your actual storyline on TV, because Cole does not have this big jacked physique. He does not look muscled up the way that even MJF has in some of his matches or other people on the roster. It is a mark against him in the eyes of a lot of fans that they just look at this guy and they can't take him seriously as a world title level performer. It's been a real talking point for a while now about Adam Cole. Some people agree with that. Some people can look past it and say, all right, he may look a certain way, but he's great in the ring. He's a great wrestler, and so who cares? But it is not one of his strong suits. Adam Cole is not a body guy. He is a very small man relative to a lot of the other people on that roster. But he goes out there every week and he gets positive reactions from the crowd, and the people sing his song and they chant for him and they cheer for him and they like him. He's a very likable guy. Especially like behind the scenes, the real Adam Cole off camera. He's like the nicest guy in the world. And I see people online who are vicious in their insults and their criticism. I mean, it's one thing to say that you think he doesn't have a good physique, but there are people who just go far beyond that and say some of the most just horrendous shit that you can find. And I'm like, Adam Cole is probably the nicest guy in the wrestling business. And the shit that he gets is just, it's completely unwarranted. It's completely ridiculous. But I don't know about how wise it is to just make this a part of the story. I don't think this story needs this. I mean, you could have MJF go out there and say, I got a better body than you do, but to make reference to like what people are saying on social media, when you're going out there and admitting that it's a very, very small percentage of your audience who even pays attention to stuff like that, I just don't know how wise it is to make that a talking point. Because it is what it is. Adam Cole's not going to be able to change his physique in the next 2 weeks to look different than he looks. So I just don't know how wise that is. But one thing I do like about this, and we've seen this before with these MJF feuds, the callbacks to him being a huge CM Punk fan as a kid. And we have photographic evidence of this, right? Him being a big Punk fan as a kid, which played into their program. On Twitter, people found articles from 2020 about a deleted tweet that MJF posted. This was 3 years ago, naming Adam Cole as someone that he wanted to wrestle one day if they ever came to AEW. This was a year before Cole even debuted in the company. Elements of truth that he sprinkles into his promos. That promo about the car accident that he was in with his girlfriend or whatever giving him head in the car and then he wrapped the car around a tree or whatever. There were elements of truth in that promo. Even if it was exaggerated, it borrows from something in real life that happened to him. But him putting over Cole and saying, man, I grew up as a wrestling fan wanting to follow in your footsteps, and I thought you were the best, and I thought you were so great. And we come to find out that, yeah, it looks like he was a big Adam Cole fan back in the day. There was something else people found. I don't know if it was on Facebook or Instagram from like even years earlier, where I think he posted a picture of Adam Cole as one of like the 4 best wrestlers in the world that he thought at the time. So like he really believed that. And I like that because all the great heels will have some element of truth to the things that they're saying. Right? I think of Chris Jericho as a great example of that when he feuded with Shawn Michaels in 2008. That whole storyline when Shawn was faking a knee injury, something I'm sure he's done before. He was faking a knee injury and Jericho was pointing it out. Nobody cared. Nobody believed him. right? He was a heel. He ended up being a heel. I mean, he was still a babyface at that point, I guess, but he was telling the truth. That's what led to the heel turn that Jericho underwent in 2008. So I like stuff like that. They are having an eliminator match on Wednesday. If Cole wins, he will earn an AEW championship match. Do they give Cole a win before he loses to MJF, possibly at Forbidden Door, or do they have MJF win, with Adam Cole having to kind of, go to the back of the line, which is a place that Charlotte Flair knows nothing about. Goes to the back of the line, and then they save the match either for Wembley or for All Out. Because that's where I thought it was going to end up happening. I thought, okay, they're getting Cole, like he beat Chris Jericho twice, and now he'll move on to something else, and they're saving him and MJF for All Out. That's where I thought this was headed. Maybe it still is. Maybe this is only the beginning salvo of a much longer program. I'm not a fan of MJF losing on television as the champion, unless he's losing the belt. If he's going to lose the belt, that's one thing. But if he's the champion and he's going to get beat on television, I think that's stupid. So I say let things play out a little bit more. But then does that mean that Chris Jericho is going to cost Adam Cole the match on Wednesday? Because as far as I'm concerned, the Jericho feud is over. Cole beat him at Double or Nothing. He beat him again in the mixed tag match on television. There ain't no need to run that back for a third time. But if they want to drag things out before we get to a championship match with MJF and Adam Cole, Jericho may rear his ugly head again and we may get a third match between them. In the meantime, Jericho can cost him the match because he's pissed, right? He was embarrassed by Adam Cole, so he costs him a potential championship opportunity. I could see that match playing out just that very way on Dynamite this week.